I am Jay Rosenthal. This is Cultivated Live. We are in Planet 13. One quick show note. I think that's what they call it on TV. If you hear construction noise, that's because they are literally building the cannabis industry here at Planet 13. They're building a museum and a consumption lounge. We're looking at gummies being manufactured, people coming in to buy cannabis even though it's 9:16 in Las Vegas time. That tells you about Las Vegas and what's going on here. We are joined by Jordan Wagman, James Beard nominated chef. Hey.
Hi, Jay.
How are you?
Guys.
It's a very Canadian group
I
right
know, it's
now.
very Canadian.
Oh, Canada.
You could bring your guitar.
I should have.
You should have.
I should
Just
have.
walk around with it.
That's right.
Tell us all the things you're doing this week in Las Vegas, because I know there's several.
There actually, to be honest, I had a dinner that I was doing,
Yeah.
and what I learned very quickly, and I should learn from previous experiences. When you come to Vegas, two things are true. One, everyone's last minute,
Yes.
right? No one wants to commit. The other side of it is no one wants to pay for anything. Right. Everyone wants to go and attend free events, right? So, so my chef friend and I, Chris Bonotto, he just got a huge feature in High Times. We said, you know what, it just didn't make sense. So I am here cooking on the show floor tomorrow for ProMix. And I'm the guy in the colorful apron, smiling and hopefully singing.
I like it.
Yeah, that's me.
That sounds pretty good.
And then I'm going to Palm Springs tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, my goal this week, honestly, is just to see people that, whether you're in Toronto and we don't get to see one another, or you're on the other side of the country and I never get to see you, it's a great way to connect this week.
Yes. Can I, I'm not giving you a plug, but I'm just going to share. I've been to one of your experiential dinners, let's say. Is that what we call them? Yeah. Talk to me about how that has evolved over time, like where the idea came from.
Yeah.
Maybe it's for those that don't know, your personal experience with cannabis, but also how it evolved into your profession.
Yeah, I mean, my story in cannabis and how I came to it is really simple. I'm a patient. I struggled with psoriasis since the age of 12. I smoked joints every day of my life since I was 12 years old, only realizing decades later that I was solving for a need state all that time, my psoriasis, right? 9 years ago, I removed gluten, dairy, and refined sugar from my diet and began consuming thousands of milligrams of cannabinoids, different cannabinoids and terpenes every day. 60 days, I dropped 30 pounds and my psoriasis went away. So for the last 9 years, I've traveled the world teaching people how to safely, properly, but for health and wellness, infuse cannabis into food and beverage. My experiences are not about how high can I get you. The experiences demonstrate what the future of cannabis, food and beverage can be, which is about health and wellness, lowering inflammation, allowing you to sleep. The other side of it is, for me, I strongly believe that the future of cannabis is through food and beverage, familiar ways of consumption. My dad, who came home with a brain tumor from Florida a couple years ago, I didn't hand him rolling papers and flour and say, go roll a joint. He's not going to do that. But I did make him gummies and my fruit leather and chocolates, and that's what he consumes every day. So that's really my goal, inevitably, is just educating people through having a lot of fun and eating a lot of tasty food.
Done. You've done that.
Thank you, brother.
So it's not just THC.
No.
What else goes in, and how do you make it so?
Yeah, over 10 courses, you'll have 10, 15 milligrams of THC, but it's THCA, it's CBDA, it's CBD, it's cannabis, it's raw flower. I have my newest...
What does that look like? Like when you cook it?
Raw flower?
Yeah.
Well, raw flower, it's interesting. So I have a new book coming out. It's called Will: How I Found My Health Through Food. And it's really all about how to properly infuse cannabis into food and beverage, which is really, for me, done through emulsification. This is the only instance where I will grate raw flour, and it's a toasted hemp seed crust. I use cannabis to experience all the parts of the flour, the terps, the flavonoids, raw, decarbed, whatever that looks like. Raw flour gives a really interesting flavor profile to this hemp seed mixture. So that's how I enjoy doing it. But it's a very terpene forward experience as well. Not only the natural terps in the food stuff, but added terpenes to really heighten the experience and give people this, not roller coaster, but, ebbs and flows, if you will.
It's smart. I also, this is very specific, but your fruit leather that you shared during COVID, if we showed up at your house,
yes,
was great. It was great.
Sound like you're trick-or-treating.
Well, it was the best kind of trick-or-treating.
Although we did trade for galoshes that I had left at your place.
Right, that's how early in COVID it was.
Yes.
You had done an event with us at, I think it was Startwell. It was like the last day that we did anything. It was like February 28th, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had your galoshes.
You did. And we traded them for fruit leather.
Well,
but that goes
I won.
You did.
I mean, great galoshes, but I wasn't
They
gonna
are
win.
very colorful. The truth is, though, the fruit leather is a perfect example because when we look back at our experiences with fruit roll-ups, what do we think about? Good times, being a child. And so obviously my flavor profiles are geared towards adults. But when you go and you peel the parchment paper, you unroll it, you peel the parchment paper off, there's an incredible experience, and you're really accessing the memory bank. That's why it really resonates with people, because the food itself, it's like eating a raspberry or a strawberry or a blueberry. It's really just the fruit itself. So
It's delicious. Can I get your thoughts? Because that was early days even of edibles in Canada and in Ontario, right? Talk to me about what you've seen, the evolution, because I've seen you talk about, I don't want to bash anybody while we're actually looking at a gummy manufacturer, but talk about what goes into most gummies that are on the shelves now.
I knew where you were going with the question, and thank you for asking it. Listen, which camera? Awesome. It's really easy to produce cannabis products for stoners. I'm one of them. You can come out with, and I'm not going to mention it because I love this brand, but let's say it's Doritos, cannabis-infused Doritos. That's easy. But can you create something without refined sugar? Can you create something that actually serves a medical purpose? And I just said this to Prentice, right? But my philosophy is very simple. If we are serving cannabis food and beverage, some of it, as medicine, what does refined sugar do? Increases or elevates our inflammation. What is cannabis designed to do for us? Lower our inflammation. What's the net result? It's not really looking good when you take a gummy that's filled with corn syrup and it's got 5 milligrams of some sort of cannabinoid. I'm sorry, but the medical benefits are zero. Zero. Because refined sugar is the freaking devil. So I would really hope, as people like Prentice, who's coming on your show, he's one of the guys who does it differently than others. Wild does it differently. That there are people doing it differently and better and more thoughtful. But I really do hope, as we enter into this new world where we are trying to onboard new consumers of cannabis, that we look to what it is they're solving for. And if it's need state specifically, then let's try to create products that actually serve those need states, not cause more. Am I passionate enough?
Yeah. So it's a lot for 9:24
I
a.m.
know.
Pacific
Presidential
time.
stump speech. Yeah.
Sorry,
You're running for cannabis
worthy.
president. I didn't even know.
It's soapbox worthy. I'm sorry.
Jordan, I do appreciate all that you do and for being here now and for being in town today, obviously. And I do love your fruit roll-ups. That's very minor. And I'm glad I gave back the galoshes to get back fruit leather. I would even buy you galoshes to get more fruit leather back. But I wish you well over the next couple of days on the trade show floor tomorrow and all that you're doing. And thanks for stopping by and sharing your passion, insight, and experience.
Thank you. Can I mention one last thing?
You can mention.
It's the most proud thing I have in my life right now that's going on, and I think it speaks to the future of cannabis food and beverage. I'm becoming an adjunct professor at Kendall College in Chicago and Clark in Washington State for culinary and cannabis. That speaks to what the mainstream world is looking for. And the future is cannabis food and beverage, and we're seeing the demand in culinary schools. What more can we say? It's really exciting.
It's like full circle.
It really is.
It's like bringing it all together.
It is. Thanks for having me.
I love it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That was Jordan Wagman. We have Jennifer Briggs Fisher from Goodwin coming up next. I don't see her right now, but I know that she's here. So she's coming up in a moment. We'll talk about cannabis law, her experience in it, and what she sees in the world. But Jordan, thank you so much. We'll be right back in 2 seconds.